Thank you and good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, I want to welcome you to today's webinar. My name is Amir Aviles, Business Consultant Supervisor here at the Small Business Center, and I will be your presenter. Today's webinar, titled How to Obtain a City of Chicago Business License, has been designed to give you a high-level overview of what to expect when it comes to obtaining a City of Chicago license. We will cover what the process looks like if you choose to pursue this online versus in person, documents needed for your application, information that will need to be furnished, steps to receiving zoning approval, the application completion process once zoning has been approved, paying for your license, passing any inspections that your business may undergo, holds that may prevent license issuance, and finally, receiving your business license. We will also be providing insight on how to renew your license when that time comes. And so we'll also cover that as well. And so to begin, submitting for your business license application, either in person versus online. Applications to obtain a business license can be submitted for via Chicago Business Direct or in person at City Hall. If you choose to pursue your business license online, you'll have to register. And to do this, you'll visit chicago.gov/businessdirect. Once you're on that page, you'll need to create a profile. And it's important to note that only one user profile is allowed per person. You want to also be sure to read the instructions carefully so as to ensure that the created user profile is compliant. Email and photo identification to access licensed services online will be needed. And if you choose to pursue this, your license in this manner, it's self-service. And so a lot of the communication, a lot of the interaction will happen via email. And a lot of the documents, if you have to provide any, will be uploaded. That's something that you'll do on your own. There is a $25 deposit fee that gets applied to your license once your license is issued. But do note that if your license does not get issued, this fee is non-refundable. So be sure to do your due diligence if you choose to submit for your application online. Now, if you choose to do it in person, you can apply for your business license here at City Hall at 121 North LaSalle, room 805. And this can be done Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We do operate on a walk-in basis, and so we don't do appointments. At arrival to the center, you'll notice, as highlighted here in the picture, that there's going to be a reception, and there'll more than likely be either one or two consultants at the reception, um, and you'll form the line, and then when you come up to the consultant, they'll ask you, what's the reason for the visit. If it's because you're looking to obtain, a business license, they'll ask some additional questions around the type of business that you're looking to operate, if it's in Chicago, and then the location. And this is just to get an idea or to ensure that they route you to the right consultant. Once they've gathered that information from you, they will then have you issue you a paper ticket or have you scan a QR code with your mobile phone. Um, and what would then happen is you'll be generated a ticket number, and it'll put you in the queue to meet with a business consultant. As you wait, they will also provide you what's called a business information sheet. And this is, in essence, the paper-based application. And so you'll fill this out as you wait for your number or your ticket to be called. Do note that the business information sheet is available online at chicago.gov/business licensing. And so if you wanted to get an idea of what that paper-based application looks like, you can always visit chicago.gov/business licensing, and you'll find that form online. And we invite you to do that just so that you can kind of prepare ahead of time of what information we'll need from you. Do also note that wait times are available online. So if you are planning on visiting us in person, the wait times are available via chicago.gov/business licensing. Now, obtaining a business license is done so under a legal entity or as a sole proprietor. And so, that being said, by the time you're looking to apply, you should already have your business registered with the appropriate government agency, or at least have had an idea of how you plan on operating. Again, if you're going to operate as a legal entity or as a sole proprietorship. How you plan on operating will dictate some of the documents that you will need to satisfy so that we can then create your relationship with the city. And those documents could include articles of organization if you are an LLC, or articles of incorporation if you are a corporation. And all these, both of these can be obtained through the Secretary of State. Documents could also include providing a EIN number, which is obtained through the IRS, an IBT number, so an Illinois Business Tax Identification Number, which is obtained through the Illinois Department of Revenue. And so that's just to give you an idea of some of the documents that could be required from you, depending on the business activity that you engage in. For all applications, we are going to need a valid identification. Now, if you're going to apply as a sole proprietor, a key document you will need to provide us is going to be that of your assumed name, DBA. And so you will need to register for this assumed name, doing business as with the Cook County Records Office. And this is just to ensure that you are permitted to use that name per availability. Now, do note that if you are registered in a state outside of Illinois, you will need to register your entity as a foreign entity with the Secretary of State, so with the state of Illinois. So let's say you formed a corporation in Michigan. You will then need to register as a foreign entity here in the state of Illinois. So once your documents are in order and it's then time to submit your application, if you're doing it in person, you'll submit the business information sheet that was referenced earlier. And again, that information sheet can be pulled at chicago.gov/business licensing. And it can also be pre-filled prior to your visit. If you're choosing to enter your application online, then you'll enter the information via the Chicago Business Direct platform. All applications will require the ownership information of all controlling parties. So name, date of birth, social security number, ITIN number, so on and so forth. And by controlling parties, we mean the owners, right? So we're going to need the ownership information of the owners, the managing members, the presidents or the secretaries, the partners, whoever gets listed under the legal entity or whoever is forming the sole proprietorship. And do note that the records need to match. And so if with the Secretary of State, you listed, uh, yourself as president, and then as secretary, you listed John Smith. Let's. This is an example. Our records will need to mirror that of the Secretary of State. So records need to match. It can't be what the information that you register with the Secretary of State can be different from what you provide us here at the Small Business Center when you're submitting your application. Your application will also call for the address so that zoning can determine if the activity is allowed at that location. Uh, Licenses are location driven, and so um, we are going to need the address to, number one, identify if the activity is allowed at that location, and then we're also going to need the location, just because again, licenses are location driven, meaning when we issue a license, it's specific to that location that you're applying for, and it's non-transferable, meaning if we issue a license at 123 North LaSalle, you can't physically grab that license and operate at 789 North LaSalle. You would have to apply for that other address. They're not transferable. We would also need the square footage of the establishment, And so you want to have this, you want to be able to provide this number to us clearly. And the reason being is because some license types, the fee that we are to charge for the license is driven by the square footage. An example of this is restaurants. A restaurant, the fee is driven by the square footage. It's not a standard charge of $250, for example. It's specific to square footage, how much um, the space measures. And then as part of your application, we're also going to need a detailed description of what your activity is, what your operations are, how are you making money, what service or product are you offering. The more we know, the better, right? What we don't want happening is we don't want to under license you, and then have you have a license that doesn't properly license the activities that you engage in. And so you want to be very, very, very clear as far as the activities that you're engaging in or the operations that you're looking to run. And this is so that, again, we can properly license you and properly determine if that activity that you're looking to engage in is allowed at that address that you're providing us or at that address that you're thinking of conducting business as at. Let's now talk a little bit about let's talk about zoning. So zoning is the first review your application undergoes. And this is to ensure first and foremost that the activity or the operation your business engages in is allowed. And so to ensure that we do a proper zoning review, as previously mentioned, we want to have a very detailed description of the activity that you're engaging in and also the space, right? So again, how much does the space measure? Um, and again, the reason we want a detailed description is for example, if you mention that you plan on operating a restaurant that offers dining, where individuals can sit down and eat. But then in the back of your mind, you're thinking of also doing wholesale, right? So the same food that you're preparing and you sell to your consumers, you also want to sell that to business. That changes, right? The requirements of what might be needed or what might be allowed at that specific address. And so for those reasons, again, we want you to be very specific as far as the type of activity that you're going to engage in so that we can determine whether or not it's allowed at that particular address that you're applying for. Some applications, as part of this review, will require you to submit a site plan or a survey. Some applications may require you to submit architectural plans prepared by a licensed architect or building permits. For instance, if the space that you're looking to operate out of previously, functioned as an office space, but now you're looking to go in there and operate as a full-blown restaurant, well, we're going to need to see architectural plans, right? We're going to need to see proof that building permits were pulled out and that that space was converted from office to a restaurant, right? We can't just decide, hey, I'm going to run a restaurant here if the proper build out hasn't taken place. As part of this review, we will need you to submit or provide us compliance with parking requirements. So, for example, if you're looking to operate a private event space where you rent out a space um, for a birthday or um, some sort of gathering, that private event space requires a 10% parking requirement. It has a 10% parking requirement. So, we're going to need you to provide us proof that there's compliance with the parking requirements. And then, some applications might require you to provide us verification of valid driver permits obtained with the Department of Transportation. Um, think of a motor vehicle repair shop, right? Motor vehicle repair shops that drive out the vehicles onto public way or an alley require driveway permits. So this is just to give you an idea, and this is just an example. Now, as you get ready to apply or go through zoning approval, You want to keep these reminders in mind. First, check with us. Check with us. Do not enter into any financial commitment unless you've checked with us first to see that the city has confirmed as part of the license application process that your proposed business activity is allowed at that location. Um, what we don't want happening is you sign right on a lease or you buy a property thinking that uh, the activity that you're looking or the operation that you're looking to run is allowed there, or thinking that because it previously served as a restaurant that again that's going to be applicable to you before you jump into a financial commitment. You check with us first, right? See if give us the address and say, hey, Amir, I'm looking to run a restaurant out of this address, 12345 North LaSalle. Can you all check and see if it's allowed or what's going to be required as far as documentation, if any, right? So you can always do that. At the lateral part of our presentation, I'm going to provide you with some contact information where you can send us an email, or you can stop by City Hall, 121 North LaSalle. Come up to the reception, let us know that you're inquiring to see if X activity is allowed at a specific address, and then someone from zoning can check that for you. Again, you don't want to assume, right, that the previous occupant zoning designation applies to you. Um, and so just again, right, as an example, if the location you're looking to take over or engage your operation in served as a restaurant, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be allowed to, or that it's going to be allowed for you to run that restaurant as well, right? So check with us first. And then just lastly, understand that there may be some required that you may be required to provide us some supporting documentation as highlighted in our previous slide. Now, once zoning approves, and your application has been submitted, so once your application has been submitted and zoning approves, then we will generate a full application, which you will need to acknowledge and verify. So we'll print out a few pages, we'll hand you the application, we'll have you review it and verify it so as to complete the application. And the application includes, that you verify that the ownership information is correct, right? And so we want to make sure we have correct contact information, that we have correct date of births, phone numbers, emails, that the social security number or IT number that was provided was in fact correct, because if any of this information is incorrect, it could delay the application process. And so when we provide you this completed application, or when we provide you the application to review, make sure that you take a thorough review, do a thorough review of it to ensure that the information you provided matches what we entered and that it's current and correct. Um, and then the completion of an application could include you providing us a lease or other documentation showing control of the property. And so when we print out that paper-based application and hand it back to you, we might come back to you and say, hey, we're going to need you to provide us a lease. Or we're going to need you to, all applications are going to need for you to answer some questions that are on there and make attestations. And again, as already mentioned, incomplete or an incorrect application can delay the application process. So once the application is complete, and it's been reviewed, then what's going to happen is payment coupon will be generated. And so in essence, we'll give you a coupon that says you can go ahead and pay for your application, for your license. Payment for can be made at the center. So if you're in person, you can make the payment here in office, either on the same floor, or you can go downstairs to the clerk office here located here at City Hall. And then if you're doing the application online, then you would just process payment via there. Do note that license fees are non-refundable and they vary in cost based on the license type. So again, as highlighted before, right, a retail food establishment license, the fee for that license is driven by square footage, right? So that could vary compared to a limited business license. Like let's say you're just opening up a flower shop. That license for the most part is $250. And so license fees are non-refundable, and cost varies based on the type of business. And then just do note that making payment does not always mean that the license has been issued. For some license types, making payment, what it does is it triggers inspections, and final approvals are needed prior to the license being issued. And so we may give you a coupon, we may have you pay, but that doesn't mean, hey, your license is good to go. It's ready to be issued or printed out. No, it could trigger some inspections to take place. And so once those inspections have been fulfilled or taken care of, satisfied, then you would either set it up to where you come back into the office uh, to pick up your license, or we simply just mail it out to the business location. Um, and so when it comes to inspections, let's talk a little bit about that. Inspections by one or more city departments may be required based on license types. So again, inspections are license type driven. An example of this is uh, if you are just an office space, 10 out of 10 times, right, you won't need a public health inspection because you're not doing anything with food, right? But if you are doing food, then 10 out 1,000%, right, you're going to need an inspection from the Department of Public Health. Um, but some of the inspections could include um, an inspection by the Department of Finance, and so what they do is they do what's called a debt check. So they do a check to ensure that you don't owe any money to the city, and so you want to ensure that any outstanding parking tickets get paid for, or that you at least get on a payment plan. Outstanding water bills, you want to be current, and if you're not, get on a payment plan. Additional inspections could include, again, an inspection by the Department of Public Health. So if you're doing a restaurant, for example, that's going to trigger a public health inspection. If you're preparing any sort of food, uh, the Department of Public Health will more than likely have to go out to your location and conduct an inspection. Um, some inspections could call for the Department of Buildings, a fire inspection, and then there's also fingerprint-based criminal history investigation. So, for example, if you are operating a child care facility, you will more than likely undergo a fingerprint criminal history investigation. And to touch on license types briefly, um, uh, again, just kind of going back to it, right? Your business and its activity will either call for a limited business license, a regulated business license, or a specialized license. And so the most common license issued is what's called an LBO, a limited business license. Think of it of, if you engage in retail sales. So let's say you're a boutique or a flower shop or a general retail store, or you're an administrative office, more than likely you will see or obtain what's called a limited business license. And those licenses, 9 out of 10 times, are issued same day. So as long as you have everything in order. Some businesses require more attention from the city for the safety and the protection of the public, hence why we have RBLs, regulated business licenses. And among those businesses, to name a few, are home occupations. So if you're running the business out of your home repair, um, if you're a hotel, these would more than likely fall under a regulated business license. And if you're not sure what license type your business activity falls under, license type determination will be made when you submit your application. So you really don't have to worry much about that. Really, what you want to really zero in on is making sure that we have, a clear description of what your activity is, the operation that you're running. And then lastly, we have specialized licenses. So retail food, liquor, tobacco, and these are considered specialized licenses because they require additional inspections before the license can get issued. Therefore, these licenses are not same day issuance. And so once you've gone through your inspections of any, then you're almost at the finish line. Remember, at this point, You've entered your application, you've gone through zoning, you've provided us, the needed documents, um, and you've reviewed your application, right? We've completed it. The last thing that would hold up license issuance would be city holds. And so before the license can be issued, all holds that come up must be resolved. And so we talked a little bit, about this before. So the Department of Finance does a debt check, and so typical holds, reasons why you might fail that check could be because there's overdue city tax filings, because you have outstanding fines resulting from business enforcement, parking tickets, overdue public way use payments, or if you're renewing your application, there could potentially be an outstanding change that needs to be made on your license. So, for example, maybe there was a change in members or the precedent. There was a change at the precedent level. This could call for your license or your application to have some sort of hold. Um, and and so you really want to ensure that when you're getting ready to apply or as you're applying, that you're working with the Department of Finance to ensure that there's no outstanding liabilities. Again, if there are any, this could prolong license issuance. And then do note that for holds, instructions on how to resolve them are sent by mail to business locations, and they're available on Chicago Business Direct. So after all inspections are approved and after all the holds have been resolved, then congratulations, right? Your license certificate gets printed or issued, and you can open for business, right? You cannot conduct business until your license certificate has been issued, until you've again received final approval by the City of Chicago, by the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protections. Again, if you wish, you can come in and pick up your license once confirmation that your license is ready or has been approved, or the license will be mailed via USPS to the mailing address, which more often than none is the business location. And again, if you are applying for, again, if everything is in order and you're applying for, just a flower shop or, a type of business that's going to call for an LBL, more often than none, you'll get that license same day. So again, uh, the license type dictates whether or not an inspection gets issued same day, or if you have to undergo certain inspections before license can be issued. At which at that point you'll either end up picking it up or we'll just mail it out to the business address. So once your license certificate has been issued, right? Let's discuss how to read the license certificate and highlight key details to keep in mind. So the vast majority of licenses issued are good for 2 years. And so looking at the screen here, uh, the upper section of your license contains your legal entity name. In this case, the legal entity is the Dan Reichart Hotel. It'll also have your DBA, which majority of the time is different from your legal name. So think of your DBA as the name someone would see if we were to go out to your business, the sign that we would see hanging or whatnot. In this case, the DBA is Danny's Hotel. The license will list your location of operation. So the location here is 333 South State Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60604. And you will also see the fee amount. So you see there that the fee that this applicant paid for their license was $940. And again, the license fee amount varies based on license type and the type of license you hold for operation. Here, we can't really see it because it's covered, but you'll see it on the next week. In this case, this is a retail food establishment license. The bottom portion of your license will have the date it expires. And this is a date you want to keep top of mind, as operating with an expired license is a no-no. Typically, we'll send out, you can do your renewal um, 60 days before it expires, and then we'll send out communication around it as well. But you want to keep that date top of mind. Um, if you come in for renewal after the expiration date, late charges do apply. And it'll also, the lower portion of your license will also have your account number. This number, again, you want to keep top of mind. In this case, the account number is 422707. This is the account number that identifies your relationship with the city. If you come in and say, I want to renew my license, more often than none, the consultants at the reception are going to say, or are going to ask you for your account number. If you reach out to us via email, you give us a call, more often than none, we're going to ask you, what is your account number? This is different from your license number. So really the account number, it's the key identifier of your relationship with the city. And then where you see the one, where it says site one, let's say you have multiple businesses under the same legal entity. Let's say you operate the same hotel, Danny's Hotel, at 444 South State Street. So you have two hotels or two locations. That other location will reflect site two. And so that's what that number there means. Again, this gives you an overview of the license name. It has the license number, the date the license was issued, the date it expires, and then your account and site number. Please, please, please keep that account number top of mind. And so once your license is issued, you have to keep it current. Again, it expires. And so renewals can be done online via Chicago Business Direct, or it can be done in person. Now, unless you love coming down to downtown and the traffic and spending money on parking, we highly encourage you to consider enrolling, or to enroll in Chicago Business Direct, so that you can complete your renewals, and so that you could also do account maintenance after the fact. If you apply for your license via Chicago Business Direct, you're good to go. You can do it all online. But if you apply for your license in person, you want to complete this step in person. You can do it here, as a matter of fact, at the center. We do have a public computer available. And so the moment you're done with the consultant, you can jump on that computer. We can help you enroll in Chicago Business Direct, so that you create your profile. And then if there's any assistance that you need in between, I mean, you have consultants here to help you. And so if you plan on submitting your application online, or I'm sorry, in person, do not miss this step. Be sure to use the public computer or leverage the consultant to help you enroll in Chicago Business Direct, so that you can complete your renewals online, so that you can do account maintenance online versus having to come down to City Hall. Now, a good chunk of the visits that the Small Business Center receives after license issuance is, again, related to renewals. And so while, yes, we can handle renewals here in person at City Hall, room 805, 121 North LaSalle, you can also do them or process them online via Chicago Business Direct, ultimately helping you avoid unnecessary trips, saving you both time and money. Retrievals or copies of misplaced licenses, those are strictly done here in person. So if you need a copy, you lost it, you misplaced it, you burned it, you shredded it, and you need a copy, you would then come to City Hall, room 805, again, where you obtain your license. And what we would do is we would fill out a reprint form that you would then take to the first floor, room 107, the city clerk office, and that's where they would provide you that reprint. And similar to license issuance, license renewals won't take place if there are any holds or if there are any outstanding inspections that need to take place. So let's say you were, you came in, you obtained your restaurant license, and at renewal, right? Your license triggered a inspection by the Department of Public Health. That inspection needs to take place before you can conduct your renewal. And so it's super important that, again, you don't wait till the last day, right, to start looking into your renewal. You want to do that, well in advance to see if there are any inspections or if there are any holds that you need to resolve, so that then you can, do them accordingly. And in summary, for these services and much more, we invite you to please visit chicago.gov/business licensing, where you'll be able to apply, renew, and update your license. You will also be able to find information on required documents, application steps, and license types. It's a very good design webpage, so we highly encourage you to take a look at that if you haven't already done so. Should you need any additional information, feel free to pay us a visit online, or in person, I should say, here at 121 North LaSalle, room 805. And you can also send us emails with questions you might have as it pertains to being licensed here with the City of Chicago at businesslicense@cityofchicago.org. And then if you have questions related to Chicago Business Direct, so to our online platform, you can send those emails to Chicago Business Direct at cityofchicago.org. And so that concludes today's presentation. What we will then do now is we'll open it up for questions. So,
questions in both the chat and Q&A box. So your first question starts at 304 in the chat box. They got the number wrong.
Gotcha. Yeah. So room 805. So you'll see on the screen that it says 121 North LaSalle Street, room 800. 8th floor, room 800. As soon as you get off the elevator, you'll see the center, so you won't miss it. And so that'll be the room. So 8th floor, 121 North LaSalle Street. You'll see the center. You won't miss it. You'll walk through the double doors. You'll see a line, or you may not see a line, but there'll be kind of like an aisle where you would just form, and then more than likely there's going to be two consultants or one that'll be ready to greet you, assist you, and then from there we'll take the conversation from there. So regarding Reg 1, I'm sorry, and the IDOR, we don't. So IDOR. When I call errors, they tell me IDOR doesn't know. I don't know where. Yeah, I mean, regarding the question as far as the question goes regarding Reg 1 and IDOR and IRS, we don't advise on the IBT number or on the EIN number that you would obtain with the IRS. What we could do, however, is send you contact information, send you an address where you can go or reach out to. So if you're looking for information around the IDOR number, you can shoot us an email at businesslicense@cityofchicago.org. They'll reiterate that again, we don't advise, we don't have anything to do with the IBT, the IDOR number, but we could send you some contact information so that how to go about it. But here it says, any guidance, portal, says like construction work and system. Yeah, so you would need an IBT number, an Illinois Business Tax ID number, that you obtain through the Illinois Department of Revenue. And you would need that number anytime you're selling something. So if your client physically walks away with something, you're going to need that IBT number that's obtained via the Illinois Department of Revenue. If you're establishing a legal entity, you're going to need an EIN number with the IRS. So I hope that answers your the question at 311 for Tulio Juarez. I have an EV charging station company. What do we do? I have an EV charging. What do we do if I'm gonna assume that says if install. Yeah. So regarding EV charging stations, we would need to know more around where you're planning on installing these charging stations, right? If they're in Chicago, are they in a private space? Are they on the public way? We would need more information around that. But more often than not, you would need a license if you're in Chicago and you're looking to do this. How long does it take to get a business license? We can't sit here and provide you a time frame. It really all depends on the type of business that you're engaging in. Again, we talked about some business activities being more regulated than others. If you're just a retail store selling shoes and shirts, more often than none, if all your paperwork is in order, you'll get that license same day. But if you're a childcare facility, if you're a restaurant, if you are a grocery store that's going to have liquor and tobacco, that's more regulated, and so that's going to take longer. As far as the time frame for those type of licenses, I wouldn't be able to tell you because again, it all falls back on, is your paperwork in order? Are you passing inspections accordingly? Right? Did you need to clear something up with the Department of Finance? So it's really case by case. We are a Wisconsin organized LLC selling pottery exclusively online. We would like to participate in farmers market like sales where we sell directly to consumers. So regarding the question around farmers market, let me see here. For farmers market like sales where we sell directly to consumers, we will not otherwise have a physical presence in Illinois. Yeah, if it's outside, like let's say Swaparama, and you're just here, on the weekends, we will more than likely issue you a license. But then we probably also might want to connect you with the Department of Cultural Affairs, because again, farmers markets or anything that has to do with farmers markets, we don't necessarily um, take care of here specifically. So we would more than likely want to connect you with uh, what's called DKs, the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events. They're the ones that handle those outside farmers market like sales. But if it's like a swaparama, then that would be us here. Again, business license at cityofchicago.org. We can take that conversation a little further. As a first time, as a first time applying for a business license for a food restaurant or a mobile food truck, can I apply online in Business Direct? So for a food restaurant, if you are going to be at a brick and mortar location preparing and selling your food, you can do that online via Chicago Business Direct. However, if you're going to be applying for a mobile food truck, you would have to do that here in person. A business that wants to open a retail store and sell online. So I'm gonna assume you're gonna open a brick and mortar location. So you're gonna have a physical address, and then you're also gonna do online. You can submit that application via Chicago Business Direct. So we don't help with completing Reg 1. Again, if you shoot us an email, we can send you the contact information to IDOR. So again, just to For a food truck, you cannot submit this application online. That option was removed. You have to register your business first. If so, what? So you have to register your business. So again, right, you're going to register your business based on how you plan on operating. If you're going to operate as a legal entity, or I'm sorry, as a sole proprietor, then really you would just come down to, you would apply for your business license here at City Hall. If you're establishing a legal entity, a corporation or an LLC, then yes, you would first register your business with the Secretary of State. I will be running a small consulting firm and wondering if it's necessary. If you are in Chicago, if you are operating this consulting firm in Chicago, yes, you do need a business license. What are the benefits of having a business license? It's what allows you to operate within city limits. If you don't have a City of Chicago business license, you cannot conduct business in the City of Chicago. That leads to operating without a city license, leads to citations, potential closures of the business. So really that's the benefit. But at the same time, right, it also opens up the opportunity for grants, right? So if the city at any point in time is running, some sort of grant or special funding for your business, right? They will more than likely want to see that you have a City of Chicago business license. I have 2 business licenses for 2 different legal entities already, and now I have a third business. I am a co-man when I file for the new mail. I have 2 business licenses for 2 different legal. I now have a third business. I am a co-manager. So that third business, I guess I would want to ask. I mean, uh, that third business, if you're on it, again, when we do a debt check, for instance, right, you're going to populate. So, if you have if your other 2 businesses under those 2 different legal names are not in good standing, it could potentially impact the third business that you're looking to co-manage with the 5 other. Great questions, everyone. Do I need all this for a solo-owned cleaning company? If your business is being ran from Chicago, if you are operating a business in Chicago, you need a license. So if you're doing residential cleaning, you need a license with us. If you're going to do commercial cleaning, you need a license with us. I have a pop-up license through the storefront activation grant. Congratulations on that. That's good. I want to do a potting and wine party at the store. Do I need a special license to serve alcohol, or what are my options? So you want to shoot us an email, just because we need to know a little bit more about, are you going to be charging for admission? Are you going to be serving the wine? Is it going to be BYOB? So more information on that question, if you want to just shoot us an email, businesslicense@cityofchicago.org. Are there any grants to cover the cost of a business license? So we do have what's called neighborhood business development centers throughout Chicago. Again, I would highly encourage you to visit chicago.gov/business licensing and just play around with the website. You will more than likely end up finding the neighborhood business development center information, and connect with one of them. They'll be able to provide you some information around if there's currently anything to help with license fees. We want to open a business at a discount mall located 5050 South Cassie. Do we need to have a license if they're already? Yes, you need a license. So that mall has a license to operate as their own, as the mall. But then you individually do need a license to be able to operate in there. Do you have seminars on business registrations like LLC? So a couple of things happen throughout. So we do run expos throughout the year. So for example, last year, our last expo was, I believe, in October. And so at these expos, we do have individuals from the state, individuals from the Secretary of State, individuals from the Illinois Department of Revenue. And so when these business expos take place, or when we announce them, it would be a really good source of information for you to obtain information on setting up an LLC or corporation, just because we'll have those folks at those expos. I have a business that is registered with the state of Illinois for some time, but I don't have an office. It's a virtual business offering training services online. Do I need a Chicago license? If so, is there a way to not pay penalties? Yeah, it sounds like you more than likely will need to obtain a license here with us. Again, you don't have an office. I'm going to assume that this is a home-based business, maybe. And you're doing these training sessions online from the comfort of your home. More than likely, you'll probably, if you're in Chicago, you'll need a license with us. I'm opening an event plan and event decor rental company. Do I need special licensing for this? So if you're in Chicago, you need a license. You don't necessarily need. I don't know what you mean by special licensing, but you'll need a commercial location. So you'll need to have a location where you're going to operate from. Just because a couple of things that we're going to ask you for is, where are you going to keep your supplies? You can't keep it at home. So we'll just need more information around how you plan on operating your business, where you plan on maintaining these items that you plan on renting out for the events. So I went to start a small gym. So what type of license? Yeah, so we have health club licenses. Again, you can apply for this online or do it in person. I understand that business liability insurance is essential to receiving certification. Is there a place in City Hall to purchase my business insurance? Yeah, so we don't, to my knowledge, we do not offer or sell business insurance here. And again, that's if you're a retail store just selling shoes and I would probably we don't do it here at City Hall. I would probably check with an insurance company on that. Would a laundromat require an RBL or a specialized license? It depends. Is there drop-off service? Is there on-plant premise? How is that laundromat going to operate? Is it solely just coin-based, or again, are you doing drop-off service? Are you doing on-prem? Is there an on-plant premise? Can we obtain a business certificate before securing the location? What if the location is not allowed in that zone? Yeah. So no. I mean, we do not. When we issue out a license, is because you are ready to open. So we do not. You can't obtain a license before you secure the location. This is why before you secure a location, you want to check zoning with us first. Again, before you jump into a financial commitment, before you sign the lease, before you buy the property, you can check zoning with us first, and then from there, right, really get going. Let's see here. Does a non-for-profit organization need a business license? It depends on the type of activity that you're engaging in. If you're a, it really depends. Do I need a brick and mortar for selling beauty supplies like face creams, body creams, and such? More than likely, you will need a brick and mortar if you're selling beauty supplies like face creams, body creams, and such. For general contractor license, do I need to follow the same steps? So a GC license is handled through the Department of Buildings, and they use continental testing. So you can go to chicago.gov, go to the Department of Buildings, or type in general contractor license, and you'll more than likely come across information around continental testing. And that's who you would obtain that general contractor license from. If you're doing home repair, right? Like simple home repair, you're painting, you're changing a doorknob, you're doing residential work that doesn't require you to pull permits, then we do have a home repair license that we issue you here at the Small Business Center. So more than likely you're not in the wrong seminar. If you are a micro business where it's just, you're I'm going to assume a residential home cleaner, you do need a license with the city of Chicago. Can you talk more about I'm going to assume that's cottage food license. So the cottage food license is handled by the Department of Public Health. And you can, again, visit chicago.gov, and there will be information around the cottage food license there. But this application, it's a paper-based application. You'll fill it out, and then you'll email it. There'll be a contact on that application where you will email the application and any supporting documentation, and it's all handled via email. So that cottage food license is all via email, and again, it's handled by the Chicago Department of Public Health. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, so you don't need to have again, if you're just doing residential cleaning, you don't need to have a brick and mortar location. We do have home-based licenses. Again, that home-based license, it's to be applied for here in person. Home-based license are not done online via Chicago Business Direct. Okay, let me check the Q&A really quick. A few more minutes left here. So let's see. I have all right. Yeah, so the slides will be available after the webinar. What documents are required for a pre-existing business looking to do business in Chicago? That really depends on what we mean as pre-existing business. Is it already in Chicago? Is it a brick and mortar location? Again, are you going to operate as a sole prop, a legal entity? Can you start a business license application if you are under construction? Yeah, you actually can. Home-based businesses require a business license as well, correct? Yes, if you are a home-based business, you are required to obtain a City of Chicago license. That license is specifically done in person. It cannot be done via Chicago Business Direct. Okay, we're coming up on time, I believe. Let me see here. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have a little more time. Did you look in the Q box as well?
Yeah, I'm in the Q&A right now. Thank you all for your questions. If we couldn't get to it, again, business license at cityofchicago.org. If it's related to Chicago Business Direct, Chicago Business Direct at cityofchicago.org. If you want to visit us in person, 121 North LaSalle, room 805. Feel free to come see me. My name is Amir, business consultant supervisor. And ultimately, we're here to help. The licensing journey could be somewhat a lot, but just know that we are here to help best we can and provide you with the resources and direction needed to help you get your business up and running. So that being said, thank you so much for attending. Hope this was informative, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for your attendance today. Thank you to Amir for today's presentation. If you are a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you will receive credit for joining today's webinar. To learn more about the program, please visit chicago.gov/BACP certificate. To learn more about our upcoming webinars, please visit chicago.gov/BACP webinar. Today's webinar was recorded and will be available on youtube.com/Chicago BACP. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.